In a world that feels like it's constantly speeding up, where everything's just a tack away, what if slowing down, actually disconnecting, was the real secret to thriving? That's kind of the big question we're wrestling with today.
Yeah, it is. And today we're doing a deep dive into this really extraordinary article, 24 Hours in Amish Country.
Yeah.
It's more than just looking from the outside. It's an ethnographic journey, a real immersion, right into the heart of an Amish community in Lancaster, Pennsylvania. We're trying to get past those, surface cliches.
Absolutely. So our mission here is to unpack their core values, understand how they choose to engage, or maybe more importantly, not engage, with the modern world, and explore what their choices might tell us about our own hyper-connected lives. We're aiming to pull out those key insights, the surprising facts, maybe some really profound moments from this piece.
Right. So get ready for some aha moments, hopefully. We'll look at their worldview, this amazing trust-based economy they have, their daily life, so much labor and faith. And yeah, we'll tackle that big question. Does their approach actually lead to more health, more happiness, maybe more purpose for them and maybe for us too?
Okay, so we all have these images, right? Horse buggies, no tech. But the article, it digs deeper almost immediately. It talks about this conscious choice, a commitment to Christian simplicity, humility, community. It's deliberate.
That's exactly it. The article really emphasizes this isn't ignorance or just sticking to the past. It's an active decision. They believe certain technologies can be distracting, maybe even spiritually harmful. Take electricity, for instance. They largely avoid it because it connects to the outside world, TV, internet, all that. They use propane, hydraulics instead. Pretty resourceful, actually.
It really is. And it makes you think about the intentionality, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Like, what about phones? We all have them. How does the article say they handle something like that? Or photography?
Yeah, good question. So the source explains that phones, if used at all, are kept outside the home. In sheds, usually. Strictly for practical needs or emergencies. Never just, casual chat or vanity inside. And photography. Mostly forbidden. Capturing an image is seen as potentially prideful. It's such a stark contrast to our lives, where everything is documented.
It really is such a conscious boundary. The article uses this great analogy, something like it's like choosing to build a peaceful sanctuary free from distractions so that the spirit can grow.
Uh,
With the Amish, build that sanctuary physically. That really stuck with me. How do they maintain that day to day? Does the article get into their daily rhythms?
Oh, absolutely. That commitment shapes everything. Their daily life is incredibly labor-intensive, yes, but the source stresses it's also deeply meaningful. Waking up early, working the fields, milking cows, sowing. Purpose seems built into the day. And it's not just adults.
All right, the kids as young as 8 are pitching in, feeding animals, cleaning barns. I mean, can you imagine trying that in most modern households? It's a completely different view of childhood, of contribution. What about schooling? And how does the community function?
Yeah, definitely a different paradigm for childhood. So formal schooling typically ends around age 14. After that, it's about learning practical trades, carpentry, farming, animal care, things like that. Community life is absolutely central. Church services go for like 3 hours, rotating between homes. And the homes themselves, large, clean, no TVs or internet, they're built for interaction, not consumption. It's a stark difference.
Okay, so the whole day, the whole structure reinforces these values. What about their economy? How does commerce work in a world like that?
Well, that leads to something the article calls their economics of trust, and it's fascinating. It's basically an honor system. They sell produce, baked goods, furniture at roadside stands, with no one there, no attendant. You just take what you want and leave the money in a box. The article calls it a bold model of mutual trust that rarely fails.
Wow, just leave the money. It's hard to even picture that working widely today. Does the article mention any issues with it, or is it really that straightforward?
The source presents it as remarkably effective within their communities. It gives examples: buying milk, pretzels, lemonade, all self-serve. It seems to rely entirely on honesty, fostering this shared integrity, which naturally brings us back to that central question the article keeps circling. Are the Amish actually happier, smarter, or healthier than, say, modern Americans?
Well, you'd think diet plays a big part, growing your own food, raising your own animals. But that bit about the author milking a cow, that seemed like more than just a colorful detail, right?
Oh, definitely. It wasn't just about the task itself. It was about the connection, the self-sufficiency. The author was amazed by the sheer volume of milk, the process, learning about unpasteurized milk, how it's handled. It just highlights how close they are to their food source, and all that physical activity, farming, milking, manual labor, it's obviously linked to their physical health.
And then there's the mental health aspect, the sense of purpose. That quote from the young woman asks about her life's purpose, and she just says, to live like Christ.
Mm.
So simple, but so deep. What does that signal about their mindset?
It's incredibly telling, isn't it? It points to this clarity of purpose. The article kind of frames their whole life like a long-form retreat. Slow, focused on family, faith, fresh air. That simplicity, combined with the hard work and strong community, it seems to buffer against a lot of the, existential stress and choice paralysis we see elsewhere. It's almost like a built-in mental wellness system.
That's a really interesting way to put it. Now, shifting gears slightly, politically, socially, how does the article describe their relationship with the wider world, their engagement, or maybe lack of it?
Well, the source notes they tend to lean conservative. They often prefer candidates they see as aligning with Christian values, traditional lifestyles. Some vote, usually Republican, though not all participate. And there's a practical hurdle. Their lack of photo IDs can make civic engagement tricky.
Right. And didn't it mention some flexibility, too, like the Rumspringa and some moving towards the Mennonites?
Exactly. Rumspringa gives youth a period to experience the outside world before deciding on adult baptism. It's a real choice. And yes, a few do transition to become Mennonites, who generally use more technology. But what's really insightful is why they maintain distance. The source says they don't see the outside world as necessarily evil, but more as too chaotic, too fast, and too detached from meaning. That really explains their choices.
Detached from meaning. That's powerful. Let's touch on some of those specific experiences the author had. Like the buggies, they're iconic, but there's more to it.
Yeah, they're not just quaint relics. They're regulated transport. The article points out they need lights, reflectors, turn signals. They have to safely share the road. And this practical knowledge runs deep. There's an anecdote about a child explaining horse breeding for buggies. Even kids get the mechanics and safety aspects. It's just part of life.
Embedded knowledge. I like that. And some of the really profound cultural things stood out, too, like adult baptism, giving people a real choice to commit, and that image of the cemetery. No names, just crosses. Talk about humility.
Exactly. Humility even in death. It's a stark statement. And remember the young woman who dreamed of being a mother and wife? It highlighted this value placed on community roles over, say, individual ambition, which is often the narrative we hear. It's just a different framework for a fulfilling life.
Okay, so this is where it really turns the lens back on us, right?
Yeah.
This whole deep dive isn't just anthropology. It's about what their choices reveal about our choices.
Yeah.
The article contrasts our hyper-modern convenience with their intentional spiritual discipline. It suggests maybe we've lost something.
I think that's the core takeaway. They're not just surviving without the internet. The article suggests they're thriving in ways we might actually envy. There's that poignant line, while the world spins faster, the Amish choose to move slower, and in doing so, they remind us what we've lost in the race. It really forces you to consider the hidden costs of all our speed and convenience.
So let's try to crystallize this for everyone listening. What are the big takeaways here? First, maybe that simplicity isn't emptiness. For them, it creates focus. Removing distractions clarifies purpose. They build that sanctuary physically.
Right.
Makes you ask, where are we letting distractions creep into our own spaces, our own minds?
Right. And second, that economics of trust. It's not just a nice idea, it works for them. It's built on a level of shared integrity that feels almost alien in many places today. What would it actually take, to build that kind of trust beyond our immediate circles? It's a tough question.
It really is. Third takeaway, technology isn't neutral. It shapes us. Their deliberate choices show that engaging with tech is a choice, not an inevitability. We could be more intentional, too.
And finally, maybe tradition isn't always backward-looking. Some of these traditional choices, slower pace, community focus, connection to nature, might actually lead to more keys, better health, maybe even deeper happiness than our modern path offers for many.
So here's a final thought to leave you with. As you go about your day-to-day, maybe just consider one small area where you could intentionally choose to move slower or embrace a little simplicity. What bit of modern convenience or tech might you reevaluate, even just briefly? And what surprising insight might that small shift reveal about your own life, your own priorities? Something to think about.